According to Mythos, 100% of you are subscribed. Good job!
Hello and welcome to the video series where we're going to be going over the lore of every single curio that can be found within Honkai Star Rail. For this video, we're going to be going over every single curio that is in the Divergent universe. This includes all the curios of 1-star rarity, 2-star rarity, 3-star rarity, and negative curios. Unfortunately, weighted curios will have to wait for another day. As always, at the very beginning, I'm going to be naming the curio, and during that time, the entire lore will be displayed. So if you wish to pause and read it yourself, you can do so. Alternatively, after that, I'll begin reading the lore so you don't have to. With all that being said, let us begin.
The Celestic Comet Alloy. Under the colossal hammer of the preservation, celestial bodies are processed into indestructible foundations, while the residue splattered by the immense force quickly cools, forming precious Celestic Comet alloys. These tiny shards, ejected when Qlipoth struck with the Celestial Comet wall, heralded the arrival of a new Amber Era from the moment they were created. Almost all Celestic Comet alloy are meticulously preserved by the International Peace Corporation, with only employees ranked P45 and above having the opportunity to catch a glimpse of their true form. Dreams 0110. The medical treatment of inorganic beings has always been a confounding conundrum for Doctors of Chaos. These metal creations have neither the cells to allow for portions to take effect, nor the brain that can react to rituals. To eliminate Nihility's taint on their rust and circuits, the doctors ground silicon-eating flour to dust, then combined them with secretion of comet cicadas and fingernails of roaming devils to create a powerful spiritual lubricant. Though Intellitrons lack taste sensors and do not complain about the taste of potions and ointments, unlike organic life forms, patients indicate that the Intellitron who have had the lubricant added to them have reported dreams of an electric butterfly with a gaping, bloody jaw.
Okay, we're starting off with a really interesting one, mainly because the idea of there being medical treatments for inorganic beings like Intellitrons blows my mind away, especially because they mentioned that this is a sort of like lubricant made out of concerning things. But what really concerns me the most is the fact that they were able to dream, and at least from my own interpretation, the butterfly with a gaping bloody jaw just sounds like a creature from the swarm.
Genius Society's dangerous gossip. What does Polka actually do? Members of the fan club have always been curious about what Polka Kakamon really looks like. The possibility of erasing all her portraits across the universe aside, the Lord of Silence has appeared multiple times in history, but never left the most meager trail. Some believe that Polka merely slew all who set eyes upon her. Others say that she borrowed the power of the Enigmata or Nihility to scrub all traces of her existence. Finally, a fervent fan conjecture received everyone's acknowledgement that perhaps Polka's face has been a haze of indiscriminable features to begin with. Green Fingers. In certain Brink quadrants that were forced into development, a number of the natives that were responsible for the cheap labor would mistakenly believe that the credit currency used by the IPC was the fruit of a certain plant. So, they would retain the freshest looking notes and bury them in the ground, with the hopes of growing their very own credit trees. The meddlesome masked fools gained inspiration from this misunderstanding and imitated the concept of the gold coin of discord to create a credit tree, spreading the seeds far and wide. Fearing the inevitable inflation, the IPC immediately set blockades across the large borderland areas and rushed to the fruit fields to investigate. What they found on arrival, however, was that the locals had taken to simply eating the credits as fruits instead.
In all honesty, I love the idea of this curio. The fact that we have a literal curio that is growing money on trees is hilarious to me, especially because of the fact that the mass fools try to be funny and collapse the economy, but the people that were in charge of this didn't really care about it, and then they just ate it because it was a fruit. It's absolutely hilarious. Though I wish that they had succeeded, purely because I just don't want the IPC to have a win.
The Peace Box. A ballot box used to mediate interstellar conflict. According to the user's wishes, you could obtain pretty much anything from within it. An ether-edited virus code, a portable firearm with massive destructive power, a fleet of spaceships built by the tiny Thermians, white flag included. Though they regularly pop up incongruously across all corners of interstellar theaters of war, proclaiming peace in the name of equilibrium, these boxes calling themselves peace will never bring peace. Just like how everyone knows they are a work of the masked fools.
In all honesty, I just love this curio because it is part of the mass fools. It is just them wanting to cause chaos for the sake of causing chaos. And I love how ironic it is that they call this the peace box when it does the opposite.
Punklordian Balance. Before they boarded the IPC escort ship, the legendary hacker Zero once publicly announced to the whole planet that they had left a cheat code hidden deep within the Ether network, and that even the newest of newbie players needed only to insert it into the game files to overturn Punklord's order completely. Although various major companies have announced that the cheat codes have been eliminated, you can still see at the brink of the data a fleet of ships ready at all times to make a deep dive, taking groups of high-spirited hackers setting off on treasure hunt in high spirits. Punklord is a game with a trash balance system, so I've made some adjustments. The Rubert Empire Mechanical Curios. Number Rubert II professed to have inherited the memories of Emperor Rubert, listed as Genius Society member number 27, and initiated the Second Cosmos-spanning anti-organic Emperor's War. With the war came terrible calamity, and at the end of the conflict, the IPC spent vast amounts of credit to repeatedly appraise Rubert II's remains. This, however, led to a dreadful revelation. Rubert II was a being of flesh and tissue. This also leads me to the next curio, because if you're able to collect all three of the Rubert Empire curios, you get the Rubert Empire Difference Machine. A difference machine designed by Rubert I that took to history's stage during the Second Emperor's War. This terrifying device kept increasing its computational power and decision-making capacities during the war, veering on the edge of showing traits that could make it the third machine emperor. Now, the remains of the difference machine are sealed by the IPC inside multiple research institutes, and any device that connects with these remains will be invaded by the anti-organic equation and automatically disintegrate after operating in an overloaded state. No one knows how the Emperor managed to write the algorithms into these unthinking machine parts. They ceaselessly resonate with each other and wait for their next union. If this is what geniuses are, then it would be far better for the world to produce more idiots.
Okay, so this curio has dangerous implications in my opinion. So not only did this just reveal to us that there could have been a third machine emperor, but that their remains are within the IPC now. And like, we know how much they like to experiment and be funny over at the IPC with these things. I don't trust it.
The self-consciousness relaxation. There's a proverb passed around the International Peace Corporation. At the negotiation table, remain as composed as the Taitsi people. This ethnicity often derogatory referred to as the Faceless, constantly maintains a hive-like social operating system. Citizens follow instruction according to the directives of the leaders, sharing standards and outcomes. As individuals, the Taitsi have neither the need nor the right to think. Managers regularly extract independent thoughts from the individual and provide them as inspirational feedback to the leaders. However, despite this unity, the race has not embraced harmony, perhaps because the leaders still cherished their self-awareness.
Okay, so this side of the harmony is one that I really hope we get to explore in the future. Because a lot of times there's the whole unity, there's the, oh, like there's so much camaraderie, it's almost as if they are a hive mind. And then there's this Curio right here that says that they're kind of like the family, as well as the family ties Curio that was honestly kind of, again, disturbing to see, like everybody was so unified in a singular mind. So yeah, no, I really wish that like this is something to explore in the future.
The Shatterbone Blade. Rather than verbose doctrines, bounty hunters believe that practice is the best teacher. When guiding a newcomer, the seasoned hunter, Kair, threw him into the northern forest of the Rymenade. The youth, using traps, killed a hidden winged terror bird, pulled out its bones, and reappeared many days later before the drill master after honing the bone into a sword. When Kair caught a second hidden winged terror bird and ordered him to kill it, the once fearsome beast had become a fletchling on the chopping board. Years later, whenever he spoke privately about the experience in the forest, the youth would keep bitterly and curse the humanoid monster, Kair. The Struggling Caller. 10 amber eras ago, a phantom thief detained in the Viropa star system stole all of its purple and blue. To this day, those lost colors have yet to be found. As such, any visitor that enters Viropa will be met with a corresponding visual impairment, which is restored as soon as they leave the star system. The academic world has been left chronically dumbfounded about whether a path strider of the Enigmata is capable of affecting change on such a scale. Since the loss of color has never caused any disruptions to the physical laws of this system, there are some who speculate that this unrest is nothing more than the stark lies of the history fictionologists. To this day, there are still unending droves of academics who travel to Viropa to investigate the phenomena, engaged in fevered debate over questions that have no answer. The Super Overlord Spinning Top. There is a reason behind creation of every rule in the Intelligentsia Guild. For example, let's take Rule 989. The creation of spinning tops is forbidden. Dr. DeWitt publicly announced that he would be holding a universal spinning top battle competition in his lab to further his studies on structural dynamics. In the semifinals, the red-nosed old-timers Antimatter Cannon Top defeated his opponent's Boxing Emperor Top in the 300th round. In order to defeat a formidable foe in the finals, the over-competitive Dr. DeWitt added a particle destroyer, blade-type devastation grenades, cheerleader horns, and other devices to his Super Overlord spinning top, and successfully caused a giant explosion in the finals, leading to hundreds of spectators being injured and hospitalized.
Okay, wait, so now, knowing all of this, why the hell did Herta use it for cooking?
The temporary steak. The carnivorous fungus blanket, grown on the planet Katia, swiftly secretes hydrophilic substances when stimulated, which can combine with liquids to form crystalline structures with digestive properties. It has found its lifelong career in some shady interstellar gambling dens. Penniless gamblers brew their last gemstones with the tears of regrets, staking everything in a gamble. These chips are quickly dissolved, becoming new debts, and the gamblers' lives are corroded completely in the digestive fluids that pour out. Written in water. When the Antimatter Legion serving under Selenova made their grand arrival at the Bocolet Nebula, all that remained to welcome them was a blank canvas of residual matter. The Memo Keepers had stored the entirety of this world's memories inside the Bocolet and strutted casually through the encirclement the Lord Ravager had set up around them. By abandoning their cumbersome physical forms, the citizens of Bocolet had successfully achieved mimetic rebirth. However, in Selenova's eyes, all they had achieved was to choose their own method of self-destruction before the Legion arrived and did it for them. Ancient communications. Before the creation of ultra-remote sensing, pheromone communication among the swarm was considered the most effective form of communication in the universe. During the swarm disaster, a group of bounty hunters that pursued worker bugs captured lone afterglow stings and modified them into frontline communication devices. With varying levels of stimulation, pheromone sensors that ignored distance would cause the insects to change color in real time and allow for simple information exchange. With this secret code, the bounty hunters became more and more courageous in the battlefield until they came face to face with the Afterglow Swarm King, attracted by the pheromones.
I really don't know what to say for this, Curio. Like, what do you mean you guys just decided to use the pheromones that the swarm uses to communicate to enable your communication? Like, what do you think was gonna happen?
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. People's opinions regarding Dr. Cray have always been heavily mixed. As a renowned plant botanist, the nutrient sustenance solution it developed saved over 20 different star systems from famine and starvation during the Border Star Trade War. However, the secondary effects of excess consumption caused diseases from hundreds of plant species to jump the species barrier and indirectly lead to widespread infections after the war. On the 100th Amber Era, since the withering of Dr. Cray, the Intelligentsia Guild issued a set of commemorative stamps of it, which featured simply the words, "Just a sentient plant." Wait a minute. Isn't that like one of the things in Herta Space Station? The Doomsday Compound I Early Access version. Though the finality's fluctuating murmurs often leave the Omen Vanguard in a state of racked dizziness, their clairvoyant eyes remain a miracle that organic life has coveted since their birth. With the aid of a hacker friend, the Omen Vanguard Endin briefly transferred the Divine Blessing into an ocular device, allowing its user's eyes to project into the near future. The oblivious hacker put on the device as Endin snickers and their sight leaps to the Punklord an Umber era later. He sees the game that myriad hackers had been clamoring for, with a line of words blown up above it. On sale soon. Is this also not a form of doomsday for a hacker? High-Calorie Diet. According to unreliable history records, in the age when the Leviathans still traversed the cosmos, there existed only one type of sushi. When the order collapsed and the veracity vanished without a trace, the original sushi faith also splintered into numerous factions. Among the sushi masters, the sushi restoration faction's cooking philosophy was simple. They believed that the essence of sushi should be gathering of energy wrapped within an edible layer. Therefore, the thing most fitting of the definition of sushi in the universe should be the internal combustion engine. The Joyous Incense. While watching the morning actor's performance, a masked fool suddenly had a wild thought. Would he create an unrivaled joke if he added some small surprises to the actor's soothing incense burner? He lit up half of his own mask and tossed it into the incense burner, then calmly returned to the audience's seat and watched the actors clapping to the annihilation of the Morrowind kingdom. When the incense was burnt out, the actors wailed in anguish, feeling profound guilt at their mockery of a dead world. Yet, this fool bursted out into laughter and is still boasting this joyful farce to his peers at the tavern to this day.
So, something that I realized while making this series, one of the icons shows Sparkle kind of holding a puppet show, and she's holding a puppet Sparkle and a puppet Sampo. Sampo's puppet has the fool's mask, or whatever the hell, like that other curio is called. And in that curio, they mention how these masks were robbed from the morning actors. So having Sampo, like, one of the things that Sampo says is that his concept of elation is not like the same as everybody else's. Could he possibly be more related as well towards like the morning actors who have had a past in there? Just some food for thought.
Punklordian Regards. Conflicts in cyberspace are always more complicated than imagined. Hackers skip and leap across each other's path in the digital space, and any perceived disadvantage by one side would result in them scurrying from the scene, thus drawing out all combat to infinite duration. In Punklord, where ether editing was created, the legendary hacker Stoneblade fought his own nemesis for 14 summers, never truly achieving victory or suffering defeat. In the end, he concocted an ether encryption key with a unidirectional locking function, teleporting himself to his opponent's physical position, and ended his rivalry that spanned for more than a decade, face to face. That is dark. Tangible luck. No hero story that resounds throughout the stars would be celebrated without the existence of a little luck, like the memory that comes back to them at just the right moment, the life-saving loot drop, or the machine that suffers with faulty programming. The hero always relies on them to dissipate danger and leave their name in the history books. However, recent research has shown that a portion of this luck objectively exists. Invisible memo keepers follow the footsteps of heroes and record the epic stories of this world as they walk alongside adventurers. In return, memo keepers secretly leave gifts of equivalent value and patiently wait for them to fulfill their purpose, becoming another part of the unchanging memories. The Tawot Cards. People have always loved to recount the story of the Riddler Baden Babibalobala. Using 109 different riddles, he created a card set named Tawot and scattered it all over the universe, using it to shroud the future of intelligent races into layers of fog. When those who call themselves fortune tellers flip open the same cards, they make different interpretations, speak subtle varied words, and decipher one question about fate after another. That is when Enigmata quietly takes root. It doesn't seem to have changed anything, yet it seems to have changed everything. The Towat Cards. Dr. Riddle always styled himself as the arch-rival of Riddler Baden Babibalobala. Using 28 types of grammatical mistakes and 36 semantic changes to create a set of Towat cards, replacing Soothsayer's Tawot cards with his invention instead. The chaos from the disarray of word consequences and discourse ultimately replaced the ambiguous reality with a divination-declared truth. When everything becomes jarringly paradoxical before you, it may not be the world that has changed, but the eyes of those who see it.
I want to briefly talk about these two curios, mainly because I adore the fact that this kind of displayed that concept of the trailblaze and the finality being antithesis to one another. Like, one of these cards focuses solely on like the final outcome, like this is destiny, nothing can be changed, while the other one is like, depending on your choices, you can shape the future in whatever way you want. So I don't know, I just thought it was like really interesting. I really hope that we can learn more about these at some point, but yeah.
Unknown lost property. 9 amber eras ago, an infamous thief was arrested in the Alda planetary system. Before he was arrested, he had vowed that he would steal the thing that the people of Alda hold most precious in their lives. What no one could comprehend was that although the thief never stated what exactly their target was, they repeatedly asserted during trial that they were already successful with the announced burglary. Unaware of what had been stolen from them, the people of Alda became extremely panicked about what it was that they had lost, and the whole planetary system fell into deep mourning. Although it seemed like they had not actually lost anything, they could not help but worry what was most precious to them that had been stolen. Unmanned Comms. How to coexist with the swarm? That is a question that the Moskans have contemplated since the day they were born. They raise straggling bugs in servitude, using the properties of propagation to indirectly harvest biomass energy. From daily necessities to cutting-edge technology, bugs are dispersed across all corners of their lives. Many years later, when the armed archaeologists arrived on the planet of Mosca, long cut off from the outside world, they found a phone that no one answered in the president's office. Its body quivered and spouted spores, as if it would hatch from its cocoon at any moment. Rather than saying the Moskans used the swarm, it would be more accurate to say that the swarm passively parasitized onto their civilization.
So hey, quick intermission time. I just want to say thank you so much for watching all the way up to this point. We have officially covered all of the 1-star and 2-star curios that can be found within the Divergent universe, meaning that we only have 2 categories more to go before we're done. And a lot of these are really interesting as well that are coming up. At the time of recording this, it is currently the 21st of January, meaning that I am still being, whatchamacallit, truthful with what I was saying, that I was not going to edit on the 22nd. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to be editing tomorrow, but right now I wanted to make sure that I could crunch all of this content out so I could still give you guys a video on the 22nd. I really have been having a lot of fun interacting with you guys and just talking about the lore, talking about like interesting little details. It has been quite a delight, and I am just very thankful for this community. I'm very thankful for you, the viewer, who is watching this video right now, and I'm just happy that, again, we're building this community. I don't know what to say. I just needed a break from talking about Curios, in all honesty. But yeah, back with more lore.
By any means necessary. As one of the powerful adversaries to the fictional entities, genetic analysis by geneticists has long served as a final gambit against falsified fossils. However, it is clear to see that history fictionologists have come up with a way to counter this. By taking genetic sequences as vessels for stories they wish to compose, they dedicate themselves with greater determination than any scholar and compile perfect molecular evolution trees, bringing the current species system into complete disarray. Bananas become amphibians and woobaboos were classified into birds. Unreliable data already illustrate that with more and more fossils becoming tainted with the scent of the enigmata, the influence of the history fictionologists within the biological fields is increasing exponentially.
I'm not gonna lie, the idea of the history fictionologist going as far as to genetically modify creatures in order to make their own history just sounds incredibly hilarious to me. Especially because I didn't really pay attention to like the fossil image that we have for this curio. But now that I'm looking at it like in big, I see like the face of like a dog with the body of a fish and the feet of like a bird, and I don't know, this just looks hilarious to me. Also, the idea of bananas becoming amphibians and woobaboos being classified as birds just makes me giggle internally, I'm not gonna lie.
Do as the locals do. The bodies of organic life are extremely fragile things. Extreme gravity, toxic air, deep ocean pressure, these things that are no more than daily realities for natives become trials for survival for any visitor. According to the Astral Express's databank, a number of former technician nameless worked together to create a clay doll that was capable of free transformation. They could simulate the physical form of native citizens and connect to the senses of their controller to allow the trailblazing journey to continue through even the harshest environments, through long distance operations. Due to their lack of realism, clay doll exploration was quickly abandoned by the nameless. But this technology became a huge boom in the field of interstellar travel, allowing the IPC to make massive profit. Of course. The hero's triumphant return. Unlike the history fictionologists who bring disaster across the cosmos, the kingdom of Kali only welcomes the laughter of children. They traverse the flux of pineapple juice, the storm of cotton candy whiffs, arriving at the moss-laden evil dragon's castle, trusty sword in hand, to wrestle for its treasures. But fiction will always fade away. The wails of children summon their guardian, and the children scorn imagination when they grow up. Thus, Enigmata ceases to exist. Young lads and lasses startle upright on their bed, waking from their dream of brandishing blades. Only the dusty edged sword beside them remembers the glorious knights vanquishing evil. Memory cycle. A cremator viewed her career as penance, believing that all memories should be restricted and governed. She placed even her own memory into the cycle and sorted them into categories, erasing the meaningless content within and retaining only the useful parts to assess her cognition. However, incomplete memories would often lead to incorrect judgment, and important information would be erased while useless content is left behind. Her memory cycle became wrecked with cracks, and this penance only lasted half an amber era before ending, because she forgot even her role as a cremator.
I really love this idea of a cremator essentially being so dedicated to their work that they go as far as to cremate their own memories. For context, the Cremators are a faction that follows the Remembrance, but unlike the Garden of Recollection that treasures every memory and wants to preserve them, these ones sneak into the Garden of Recollection to delete memories that they consider to be not really that useful or meaningful. They're kind of just like looking at it and it's like, oh, this thing's just consuming space, and then just delete them.
The Plague's Nest. The infamous Japella Brotherhood used to use live biological weapons when they invaded the Lindganu star system. The virus that causes genes to self-destruct included infected cells consuming each other within the host body, creating appalling calamities. However, the endless multiplication made the horde of living beings within the Nest capital soon go out of control. Driven berserk, they turned on the Brotherhood and devoured the invaders' camp, making these thugs have no chance but to give up, the brethren embroiled in it, discarding what they could do to stay alive. Some claim the Everflame Mansion was behind this event, with evidence being the unending death feud between the two organizations that followed in days to come. Reunion with Death. a grotesque keychain that recorded, like a knotted string device, its mastery every brush against death. Following the murmurs of the finality, the hunter galloped towards these dangerous futures time and time again. The supernova explosion in the Red Mandarin star zone, the swarm invasion at Dormonton, the grand starship heist by the interstellar bandit Naro. He firmly believed that his destiny would not end here, and therefore he enjoyed every second during which he brushed against death. In the end, he became a Creed exequy, and the only thing he left in his wake was death.
I have briefly talked about this Curio before, but I still want to talk about it again, mainly because of the fact that I love how consistent Star Rail is with their concept of the finality and prophecies, to the point that, like, yeah, this person got this keychain, and in their mind of minds, they were like, oh, you're legally not allowed to die here nor now. So he was effectively just immortal. And just seeing him go to such extreme lengths just for the thrill of it is incredible. I do find it rough that this guy ended up becoming a Creed exequy though.
The absolute failure prescription. Warfare is the plague of civilization. It erases lives, destroys history, and makes the world return to naught. The Doctors of Chaos mix the saliva of Inquisition spirits with hair from Xenohydros, then offer a drop of their own blood. The potions made in this manner would interfere with the combat officer's decision-making, causing both sides to avoid all effective tactics, removing the possibility of armed conflict from its roots. Will war end because of this? The Doctors of Chaos believe that the plague will eventually be cured as long as people keep taking their medicine.
Okay, so in doing these series, I have come to the realization that there are a lot of curios that are related to the Doctors of Chaos. I do have to say that I genuinely love this sort of quote-unquote medicine that they were providing people just to like stun them or make sure that they wouldn't be able to be fit for combat to sort of resolve conflict. This is just like an interesting way for them to like approach, and I feel like it's very fitting for them, you know?
The old skin. Why is it that the majority of intelligent species in the universe are primates? Whenever the periodical technology department meetings come to an end, Sleshka would fall into a deep inferiority complex. She used injections of drugs to alter her external physical form, aiming for that of a human. Her breathing holes were covered with skin and her organs and bones were forcibly stretched, but this endless pain allowed her to gain the appearance of a human. However, this new look of hers was unfortunately met with disdain and contempt. With Sleshka's encouragement, an endless queue of sentient beings came forth to change her appearance so they could look more human. However, this was not because transforming into a human held any particular benefit to her. It was purely because she wanted more people to share this pain with her.
Okay, that was disturbing to read on so many levels.
The Pineapple. When the Rock King Akbar was giving a disaster relief performance in the Merlo Nebula, he was struck with sudden inspiration by a fruit. These strange-looking fruits had been given that absurd name, pineapple. So he wrote about his extraordinary experience in his song lyrics and called upon his fans to attack the archaic language of the old world. Under his leadership, the rebellious youths began to endlessly twist existing nouns and fill the cold warehouses of every interstellar courier company with unimaginable pineapples. It was only when over 100 developed worlds changed the definition of the word pineapple due to the fans that this wild fruit-inspired rock and roll movement finally stopped in its tracks.
In all honesty, I just want to add here that the first time that I saw this curio, it completely disturbed me because I thought I was going to see a pineapple, and then I saw a brain with an apple. For context, apparently a pine is a part of your brain, hence why this pun works. Still though, I really hate this curio, just in the way that it looked. I don't know, it's just like unsettling. The Talot Doll.
There are always those in the vast cosmos who ignored the Omen Vanguard's warning, such as the owners of the Eton Toy Factory. When the Pathwalkers of Finality warned him that he should destroy an entire batch of newly manufactured toys, he only responded with thundering rage. After 24 system hours, the Talot race hiding within the toys launched their attack against the Toy Factory. This liquid state cluster entity, which comes from the border star zones, shared their consciousness communally and eagerly invited order-leaving beings to join them. Eton soon became one of them.
Oh boy, we have actually made it to the end of all of these curios. There were so much more than I anticipated at first when I began reading through all of this. But it was a lot of fun, and I genuinely did enjoy just going through them, reading the lore. I was disturbed in many times, but I don't know, it's been great, and I have been enjoying a lot. Continuing this series, the fact that we're reaching part 4 blows my mind away, and after this we have one more video, and then we'll be done. And then we just have to wait for more curios to arrive in the future eventually, right? That being said, I'm just very thankful for this community. I'm very glad that you guys are here. I'm very happy that every single time we keep on growing and just being able to like have discussions, to be able to talk about the lore, the game design, the things that we like, the things that we maybe like don't really like that much. It's been a nice community to foster in here. Like I said on my previous video, I wasn't originally gonna post a video today because, like, in the moment of the video being posted, today is my birthday, but in the moment of me recording this, it is still the 21st. So I did not break my rule. We're gonna be having this video right now because I decided to put in all the effort and I wanted this video to come out so badly. Yeah, I don't know. Like, thank you all so much for all the support. You all mean the world to me. We're almost at 3,700. Hopefully by the time that this video comes out, it's actually 3,700. I'm just beyond baffled, but so happy. I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day, night, morning, whatever time zone applies to you all. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.